of Spain. He said, come on, let's do it again. He took it down to Chinatown.
Hello, vinyl community. Dave the Pickup Artist with you for another go-around of Psychedelic Sunday, where the cost of one admission is your mind. And we got some new stuff this week and some old stuff. So let's jump right in. I been looking for this first album for a while. We got Kaleidoscope with A Beacon from Mars. This is the US Kaleidoscope. There are two other kaleidoscopes. One's in the UK, and I believe the other's in South America. This is their second album. Where I go to be.
Excitement.
Is featured in the Big Beautiful Book. So in an interview with Zigzag magazine in 1972, Jimmy Page claimed that this was his favorite band of all time. He says it's my ideal band, absolutely brilliant. He wasn't only referring to the instrumental prowess, but also their fearless incorporation of a multitude of different exotic instruments and styles. Now, these guys used antique instruments, weird instruments from the past. That's the Page. He claims that Page, one night I saw them playing in the Avalon Ballroom, and that bloke, Saul, was doing a flamenco thing, which was so authentic. Then this line of flamenco dancers suddenly emerged from the wings and danced across the stage. Just too much. Yeah, that was Jimmy Page, and he was referring to Soul, who was David Solomon Fieldhouse, who was the gentleman in this band that played all this strange instruments that nobody had ever heard of. So let's meet the band. We've got David Solomon Fieldhouse on vocals, and I tell you, honestly, I cannot pronounce a lot of these instruments that he plays. We've also got David Lindley on guitar, banjo, fiddle, and mandolin, Chris Darrow on bass, Charles Chester on violin, bass, organ, piano, and John Vidacan on drums and percussion. And yeah, they made the Big Book, and this is actually, like I said, their second album, and they had come a long way since their first. Their first album was Side Trips. Now the first album is great also. This came out in, I think, 67, and they kind of were green around that time. They had paid an artist to do their album cover, and they paid for a color album, but much to their chagrin, they got this album, which was obviously black and white, so they were a little bit peeved about that, but they corrected on the second time, their second album, and produced this great album. Side Trips is great also. This is a Sunday's reissue of Side Trips.
Went to the Egyptian gardens just the other night. Saw a redhead there that was flat out of sight. Spent all of my money, honey, to spend the rest of the night and to watch her do that thing that they call Yashima.
Has become reality.
The next one I got is another Pre-Allman Brothers Psychedelic album. And this is the first recordings of the brothers when they were the Allman Joys.
People are aroused.
And apparently they were discovered by a guy by the name of John Loudermilk, who saw them at a show in Nashville, I believe. Yeah, Nashville on here, called the Briar Patch. They were playing at a place called the Briar Patch. And at the time, the Allman Joys were on a joint tour with an all-girl band, and the Allman Joys, and it was mostly regional, but they would make it up to, Tennessee, and yeah, this is great garage. At this point, they were doing basically garage rock. There's a couple of Greg Allman pen tracks called Bell Bottom Britches.
She's dancing close to me. I look down, don't see how I stood here. My bell bottom dancing with me barefoot. My baby wears bell bottom britches on. My baby wears bell bottom britches on.
Which is a good track. Gotta Get Away is on here too. A couple weeks ago I showed an album called Joseph, Stone Age Man, and he does a cover of Gotta Get Away. And the other tracks we've got are blues tracks. Joyce released a single, a cover of Spoonful, and it became kind of a regional hit. This is actually an original copy. Now, this album came out in 1973 on the Dial label. Now, I said 73. Now, it actually was recorded on Dial in the 60s. 1967, 68. That wasn't released until 1973, when the Allman Brothers were kind of at the top of their game. They had a hit single at that time. So they started releasing these, what I call Allmansploitation albums, like this one. And this is a good one. And around the same time, they released the Dwayne and Greg Allman album. I showed this recently, and this is also an original. And they were really easy to find for a while here in Florida, because this album was recorded near Miami. So there was a lot of these floating around, originals. But if you can't find an original, get with that label and you can pick up those 4 albums. I'm interested if they're going to release any more Pre-Allman Brothers stuff. The next album I have is Gandalf. This is a highly sought after psychedelic album. And these guys were kind of a cover band. I think most of these tracks are covers. They were kind of like a whimsical type of a psych band. You got tracks like Golden Earrings and Hang On to a Dream. Hang On to a Dream was done by a lot of psych bands. But this has the crazy cover, mesmerizing cover.
Your mother's aroused. I haven't seen people so aroused.
To choose you. Does it ease your heart to say tomorrow brings another way to lose you? Am I wondering?
Your mother's
Eating the dogs.
When your eyes start to think of all the things that can't be seen.
Here's the back cover. And yeah, this is a grower. The more you listen to it, the better it gets. And one of the things, the bass player was a guy by the name, the guy right in the middle there. This guy was a guy by the name of, well, back then he went by Bob Mahler. Bob Mahler would later become the director of the FBI as Robert Mahler. Probably better known as the prosecutor. He was the one that investigated the Russian interference into the election about 10 years ago. He was the investigator on that. And yeah, but this is a four-piece band. Mahler on bass, Davey Bauer on drums, Peter Sando on guitar. Piano is Frank Ubach. And not a lot of information other than, you know, Bob Mahler, who went on to run the FBI for, I don't know how long he was director of the FBI, but he's still alive. And Gandalf, great album. I think it's on Capitol. Yeah, Capitol. This week in 1968, we had the Stones release their classic psychedelic album, Satanic Majesty's Request. This is an early press, and I love everything about this album. The cover, the songs. It wasn't a great success for the Stones. A lot of people didn't get it.
Your mother's a transvestite. Your mother's a transsexual.
Have you seen her all in gold? Like the queen in days of old.
But they had to do something psychedelic. I mean, it was everybody was putting out a psychedelic album. So this is their psychedelic album. And there are wanker tracks on here. I think it could have been a lot better. I like the album, but it could have been better if they would have included, they put out 2 singles around the same time that aren't on this album. I think this album would have been better had it had those singles on it, and they could have taken off, they could have taken off the Gomper, the track 3 on side 2, and they probably could have taken off Citadel also, but yeah, but this is great. I would like to see those singles. Now they actually made videos for those singles too, and I think one of them features the Stones and Drag. But I would like to see those singles re-released in some form, maybe in an EP, or even another redundant Rolling Stones comp album. But that being said, yeah, I love this. And that's all I got this week. I hope you all have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Take care.